What's up guys, and welcome to my channel. This is Full Throttle. My name is Charlie and I'm going to show you how to change a ball joint super quick. First step, raise the car, jack stands or a lift, take off the wheel, and you're good to go. So what I did is I took out this this bolt for this compression arm, or I didn't take out the bolt, I took off the nut on the bottom right here with the cotter pin, because I don't want to put too much pressure on this compression arm, because I don't want this to rip. So you can see over here how this one had ripped from the pressure being put on this side. So what I did is I took out that bolt on the bottom. That way this doesn't have as much pressure on it. That way when I drop this control arm, it doesn't put as much pressure onto the compression arm and possibly rip this bushing. The first thing you're going to do is take out this 19. You're going to put a wrench on the back and you're going to use a socket from the front and pull this out. Then this is a 17. This is also a 17. You're going to have to put a 17 on the back just like this, and then you can pop this out. Right after you get this dropped, then you can take this control arm down. You can take out this 22 millimeter here. You're going to have to take out the cotter pin, pull out the cotter pin, pull out the 22 millimeter. The control arm will drop down like this. You can pull the control arm right out, and then you got space to push this ball joint out. After you're done dropping the lower control arm, use a pair of snap ring pliers, take off this retaining clip or snap ring. Ooh. Maybe you should wear eye protection. After you take off that snap ring, what you're gonna do is you're gonna find the right size coupling in the ball joint press kit that you can rent at AutoZone or O'Reilly or many auto parts stores. This is the one I'm using. It's got a front open face, and all you do is you place it around the ball joint like this. Make sure that the threaded portion of the ball joint is lined up with the hole on the top here. Position your ball joint press or your C-clamp so that the hole lines up. Use an impact gun and press it out. Now you've got the old ball joint. All right, so after you find the appropriate size coupling for your ball joint, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean this out real quick, and then I'm going to press this new ball joint in here. So I've got the press fitting around the ball joint on the hat part portion only, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick the ball joint, it should go about halfway in and then stay about there, is use this cap. So what this does is it allows the bottom of the ball joint to pass the bottom of the knuckle. So this ball joint sticks out just a tiny bit just so you can fit that snap ring on. So after you get that snap ring on, you're pretty much good. What you can do is figure out how much space you need. So I'm actually about good right there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up and make sure that the ball joint isn't going to interfere with the bottom here, the bottom portion. And all I have to do now is make sure that it's lined up straight. There we go. Now your new ball joint is seated flush and you've got enough space to fit your snap ring. And now all you have to do is fit that snap ring back on, put your cone back on, and this ball joint is good to go. Most of these range in between 70 to 94 foot-pounds. So all of these for the end link, for the subframe, for the shock mount, and also for the ball joint. So I just torqued this down to 80 foot-pounds. I'm gonna go to 80 foot-pounds for all of these, and then you just reinstall this and you're pretty much done. Your ball joint's in. With the other one, all I had to do, I think it was this one here. Yeah. With this one, with the other one, all I had to do was fit this over the boot and then I could press it straight in. Well, the problem with this side is that this boot, the lip, which is common with these, is very, very small, and the boot on this comes out really far, and I can't just remove this boot or pull it up just so I can, you know, put a fitting on here. So what I'm gonna do is I actually took this bolt right here, this nut, and I flipped it upside down and made it level. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put this on top of here like this, center it on top of the knuckle that's on the car, and then I'm going to use, which one is it? That's like the little one over there. And I'm gonna put it on the bottom right here so that way the ball joint has a place to go through, just like, you know, just like when I replaced the other one. And so I'm gonna press this one out, and I'm gonna get to working on pressing it into the knuckle on the car. And just to point out real quick, you can see that all of these, like this one's too big to fit on that lip. This one's too small because it won't fit around the boot. And then, you know, I've got a couple other ones like this one right here. This one is also too small. You can see that I can't get it. I'm not gonna be able to fit it around there, and I don't wanna rip this boot by trying to do it with this method. So what I'm gonna do is just flip this upside down like I said, and then press it on from here. One thing I wanted to point out is to make sure you put all the cotter pins back in place. So if your cotter pins are not back in place, if this comes loose, your suspension can come apart. All right, repeat the process to put everything back together for both sides. Torque everything down to 80 foot-pounds. That's the number I chose. You can do your own research if you want. And you're ready to get back on the road. Alright, so this is pretty much all the tools I used in the video. I've got a 17mm wrench, a 19mm, some of these adapters, just the ones that I chose to do the job. The C-clamp here, I got my Makita gun. I would strongly recommend getting a gun like this if you're going to do a job. There's cheaper ones out there. You can get like a Milwaukee one or DeWalt or whatever, and you can get a cheaper gun and it'll make your life a lot easier. I don't think you can even press in and out these bushings without having some type of an impact. I used a flashlight, I got a pair of needle nose pliers, a pair of snap ring pliers, the torque wrench. Everything that I torqued down was down to 80 foot-pounds. And this little puller right here, that was just to take the cones off of the old ball joints. And that's pretty much it. I got a 21mm socket, 17mm, a 19mm, and a 22mm. And a flathead screwdriver that was just to push back the boots from the old ball joints so I could fit the pullers on it. This is the ball joint that I got. I would strongly recommend getting this one. It makes it a lot easier. The lip on the ball joint is a lot better, and it makes it so you can use this coupling instead of trying to put pressure on the actual top threaded portion of the ball joint. So this is the ball joint here. That's the little part number, and this is the one that I found easier to replace. And I got this at O'Reilly for right about $44 after taxes and everything. Just to give you guys a rough idea, this is the ball joint kit that I got, and it has a lot of pieces in it, and it costs about $150 to rent, but after you bring it back, you get your $150 back.